Has someone you love started changing in quiet, almost unnoticeable ways over the past year? Maybe they're sleeping more, eating less, seeming distant. For many families, these subtle shifts don't seem alarming, just part of growing older. But what if they're not? You see, most people assume that death in old age happens suddenly. One day they're fine, the next they're gone. But the truth is often far more gentle and far more tragic. The body tends to whisper long before it stops. It sends small, quiet warnings. And the saddest part? Most of us miss them. It's only afterward, looking back, that we realize the signs were there all along, that something inside was already changing, that we could have been more present, said more, held more. But by then, it's too late. That's why this video matters. Today, we're going to talk about 5 real research-backed signs that often appear in the final year of life. These aren't dramatic or sudden. They're quiet, consistent, and deeply telling. Recognizing them doesn't change what's coming, but it does give you a gift, the gift of awareness, the chance to prepare, to be more present, and to give your loved one the care and dignity they deserve. So stay with us until the end. What you learn today could help you support someone you love in the most compassionate way while there's still time. Sign number 1, significant weight loss, a silent warning. One of the first signs that often appear in the final year of life is significant, unintentional weight loss. At first, it may seem like a subtle change. Looser clothes, a belt that suddenly needs tightening, or a decrease in appetite. Many families brush it off, thinking it's just another part of aging. But the truth is, weight loss that happens without effort is rarely a good sign. When an elderly loved one starts losing weight unexpectedly, it often means that the body is struggling. Nutrient absorption becomes inefficient, muscle mass begins to fade, and key systems like digestion and the immune system start to slow down. While some muscle loss is normal with age, rapid weight loss is a red flag. The body may no longer be processing protein effectively, leading to muscle wasting. This loss of strength affects more than just physical appearance. It weakens the immune system, increasing the risk of infections, and makes movement difficult, leaving the person more vulnerable. The diminished appetite may also be due to underlying health conditions such as cancer, heart failure, kidney disease, or even depression. For families, the hardest part is realizing that despite their efforts to encourage meals or add supplements, the weight continues to drop. It's essential to recognize that the problem is deeper than just diet. It's the body preparing for a transition. In these moments, it's crucial to focus on comfort foods that are easy to eat and hydrate well, rather than forcing large meals. Recognizing this sign early on helps you to be more compassionate, as you understand that your loved one may not be eating less by choice, but because their body is signaling a deep shift. If you notice significant weight loss in your elderly loved one, especially alongside signs of fatigue, reduced activity, or less interest in food, pay attention. This is the body's way of saying something is changing, and understanding it now allows you to respond with the kind of care, love, and support that helps bring comfort during this difficult time. Sign number 2, extreme fatigue and weakness, when energy quietly fades. Another early and deeply important sign that often appears in the final year of life is extreme fatigue and weakness, a type of exhaustion that rest alone cannot fix. This isn't the usual tiredness after a busy day or poor night's sleep. This is a heavy, persistent fatigue that seems to wrap around every movement, every word, every thought. For someone in their final chapter, even the smallest tasks become difficult. Getting out of bed feels like climbing a mountain. Walking across the room becomes a slow, careful effort. Activities that once brought joy, gardening, chatting, reading, suddenly feel too tiring. Why does this happen? It's not just age. It's the body, quite literally, conserving energy for the essentials. As organ function begins to decline, especially the heart, lungs, and muscles, the body shifts into protection mode. Oxygen circulation slows, the metabolism downshifts, muscles weaken. The result? A deep bone-level weariness that doesn't go away with a nap. This change often leads to longer sleep patterns, more time spent lying down, and sudden drops in energy that come without warning. One moment your loved one may seem okay, engaged in a conversation, and the next they may be completely drained. But perhaps the most painful part isn't physical, it's emotional. Seniors who once prided themselves on independence may begin to feel embarrassed or defeated by how little they can do. That's when withdrawal often begins. Not because they don't care, but because they simply don't have the strength. As a family member, it can be hard to witness. You may be tempted to encourage them to move more, to push themselves. But this kind of fatigue isn't something to push through. It's something to honor and gently work around. If someone you love is sleeping more, growing weaker, or seems constantly drained, don't ignore it. This is the body's way of saying, I need to slow down. And in these moments, what they need most isn't more activity. It's more understanding, more calm, and more presence. This is the time to offer softness. Sit beside them. Let them nap. Hold their hand. Make the most of the time you still have, not by doing more, but by simply being there. Sign number 3, cognitive confusion or withdrawal. When the mind begins to drift. As a person approaches the final stretch of life, one of the most telling shifts is often not physical, it's cognitive. You may begin to notice subtle confusion, difficulty concentrating, or moments when your loved one seems mentally somewhere else. They may forget names, lose track of time, repeat themselves, or struggle to follow conversations they used to enjoy. At first, this might seem like normal forgetfulness, something many seniors experience. But this is different. This type of confusion feels heavier, as if their mind is slowly detaching from the world around them. It can come and go in waves. One moment they seem present, the next they appear lost in thought, unsure of where they are or what was just said. What's happening here isn't just about memory, it's about reduced oxygen and nutrient flow to the brain, a result of the body gradually slowing down. As circulation weakens and organ systems begin to tire, the brain, like any other organ, starts working with less. In many cases, this leads to emotional withdrawal. Your loved one may speak less, seem disinterested in the things they used to enjoy, or prefer silence over interaction. It's not that they've stopped caring, it's that engaging requires more mental and emotional energy than they have to give. You may also notice mood shifts. Some become more irritable, easily upset, or anxious. Others appear unusually calm, detached, even indifferent. These changes can be heartbreaking to watch, especially if the person was once vibrant, opinionated, or deeply affectionate. But here's what's important to remember. Even when they seem distant, your presence still matters. Even if they can't hold a conversation, they can still feel your touch, hear your voice, sense your love. And that love, quiet, steady, patient, is often the greatest comfort you can offer. If you begin to notice this mental fading, don't panic. And don't try to bring them back to normal. Instead, meet them where they are. Create a calm space. Speak gently. Sit with them, even in silence. Because in this final chapter, connection doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be real. Sign number 4, frequent infections and slow healing. The body's defense grows tired. One of the clearest signals that a person may be approaching the final year of life is when small illnesses become frequent and recovery takes much longer than before. You may notice your loved one catching colds more often, dealing with recurring urinary tract infections, or developing persistent skin issues. Even a minor scratch or bruise may seem to take forever to heal. These aren't just random health hiccups. They're signs that the immune system is wearing down. As the body begins to prepare for its final stage, it shifts its priorities. Vital organs like the heart and brain take precedence, and immune function starts to slow. This means that the body no longer fights off infections with the same strength or speed it once had. What used to be a short-term bug now lingers. What once healed in a few days now takes weeks, or doesn't heal at all. And it's not just visible wounds or sniffles. Internal infections like pneumonia or UTIs often become more common, especially if the person is bedridden or less mobile. In older adults, these infections might not show up in the usual ways. No high fever or obvious pain. Instead, they may cause confusion, sudden fatigue, or a loss of appetite. These changes can be easy to overlook, but they're the body's way of saying, I'm struggling. Even medications that once worked well, like antibiotics, might become less effective. You may notice your loved one needing longer or stronger courses or experiencing side effects that never used to happen. And every time the body goes through an illness, it comes out a little weaker than before. As hard as it is, this stage isn't about chasing every cure. It's about comfort, support, and quality of life. Gentle hygiene routines, a calm and clean environment, staying hydrated, and providing emotional reassurance can sometimes do more than another round of treatment. If you start noticing that infections are becoming more common or that healing feels slower with each passing month, it's time to pause, reflect, and perhaps start having honest conversations about care priorities. Because at this point, the goal is no longer just to fix, it's to care, to comfort, and to be there in the most loving, attentive way possible. Sign number 5, changes in breathing and circulation when the body slows down for good. Perhaps the most profound, and often most misunderstood, sign that a person may be nearing the end of life is a noticeable shift in how they breathe and how blood flows through their body. These changes may begin gradually, months in advance, or they may appear more suddenly. Either way, they are the body's way of preparing to wind down. You may first notice subtle signs. Breathing becomes slower or shallower, with occasional pauses. Sometimes the rhythm becomes irregular, fast for a moment, then slow. One of the more common patterns is called Cheney-Stokes breathing, where the person cycles through deep breaths, followed by periods of no breathing at all. It can sound alarming, but in most cases, it's not painful. It's just the body easing itself into stillness. At the same time, circulation begins to pull back from the extremities. Hands and feet may feel colder than usual, even under blankets. Skin may take on a bluish or pale tone, especially around the fingers, toes, lips, and nose. These signs don't mean immediate death, but they do indicate that the heart is no longer pumping blood as effectively. The body is redirecting its remaining energy to protect the most vital organs. You might also notice other quiet changes: a light cough, a gurgling sound when breathing, caused by fluid buildup, or a preference for sleeping upright rather than lying flat. These aren't just signs of a passing cold. They're part of the final chapter, the body adjusting to its own limits. This stage can be difficult for loved ones to witness. You may feel the urge to fix things, encourage deeper breaths, call for emergency help, or insist that something must be wrong. But in truth, this is the body's natural way of letting go. There may be no cure, no fix, and that's okay. What matters most now is peace, comfort, and presence. A cool, quiet room, a hand gently held, soothing music, familiar voices. These small acts can make an enormous difference. If you begin to see these changes in someone you love, don't panic. Breathe with them. Sit beside them. Let them feel your presence, your love, and your calm. Because in those final weeks or months, what they need most isn't saving. It's knowing they're not alone. Final thoughts. Gentle guidance for a difficult journey. As we come to the end of this video, I want to pause with you for a moment, not in fear, but in gentle understanding. We've walked through 5 subtle yet powerful signs that can appear up to a year before a loved one passes away. Significant weight loss, deep fatigue, cognitive confusion or withdrawal, frequent infections, and changes in breathing and circulation. Each of these signs on its own might seem manageable or easy to dismiss, but together they form a quiet language, a way the body begins to say, I'm nearing the end. It's not always loud, it's not always dramatic, often it's a whisper, and unless we're listening closely, it's easy to miss. But now, you're listening, and that matters more than you know. Understanding these signs isn't about giving up, it's about showing up with love, awareness, and compassion. It's about making the final chapter not just about loss, but about presence, about holding hands, about telling stories, about making the most of the time you have left, no matter how long or short it may be. For many families, this stage comes with confusion, guilt, or regret. Why didn't we notice sooner? Could we have done more? But the truth is, there is still so much you can do. You can bring comfort. You can offer dignity. You can choose kindness over chaos. And sometimes just sitting quietly next to someone you love is the most healing thing of all. If you are going through this right now, or if you recognize any of these signs in someone close to you, I want you to remember this. You are not alone. Millions of families have walked this path, and while it's never easy, understanding what's happening gives you strength, patience, and peace. Thank you for spending this time with us. If this video brought you clarity or comfort, please let us know in the comments. Share one thing you've learned or something you plan to do differently moving forward. Your story may help someone else who's quietly navigating the same journey. And if you'd like more gentle guidance like this, we invite you to subscribe and stay with us here on Senior Fit, where we believe that aging is not just about the end of life, but about living it with care, meaning, and grace until the very last moment. Take care of yourself and take care of those you love.